I'm going to keep us moving on schedule here. What we'd like to do now is kind of have a moderated panel discussion, right? And so we've assembled what I think is arguably one of the best law school panels in the country. I just made up that statistic. Just right off the fly, I just made that up. But let me go down the line and I'll start by introducing our Assistant Dean of Admissions, Dean Ernie Walton, who's front row and center here. Thank you for being with us, Dean Walton. We also have one of our phenomenal admissions counselors, Miss Minnie Taylor, to his right. Thank you for being here. On the left of Dean Walton, we have Miss Micah Lemelle. She's our traditional. On Micah's left, we have Miss Regina Williams, chairwoman of the Black Law Students Association. And last but certainly not least, we have Miss Melissa Benvenuto, who's a current law student as well. Melissa, thank you for joining us. So I'll go ahead and get our discussion started here. And Dean Walton, I'd like to start with you if we could, but tell us, why would current Regent University undergraduates and alumni, why should they choose Regent Law?
The reality is that you should choose Regent Law because it will provide you the best legal education in the country. And I say that from experience. Having gone to this law school, graduated, and going out to practice, clerking for the Virginia Supreme Court, working with graduates from top-tier law schools, I had no idea how great my Regent education was until I got out in the world. I mean, I loved it. I loved my 3 years here. I was poured into by the faculty and cared for. I was equipped to practice and ready to pass the bar exam. So I loved my time here, and I thought it was great. But until I actually got out in the field and was working alongside other associates and clerks, I was thinking, man, I was really equipped. I was ready to go. And so you're already here. You've seen the quality of Regent Undergrad. You've seen what it's like. The law school is an incredible place that will equip you, that will prepare you in an amazing way to do all that God has called you to do. The best thing is why you should choose Regent Law School is the Christian mission, right? There is really no other law school in the nation. There's a few perhaps, but really none other that is committed to Christ at the center of everything we do. And that's ultimately why I left Pennsylvania. I looked at a lot of the top schools in the Northeast, but why God called me here. And I'm so glad I came here. I met my wife here. Certainly the best part about it, I would say, amen. And that is definitely the truth, but that I came here because of the Christian mission, and Regent does not, for a second, compromise. The faculty love the Lord, and they will pour into your life to develop you to be Christian lawyers, right? People who can do what Judge Warren was talking about, represent clients from a perspective of service, that the law is a noble profession, and calling where you're serving others and transforming this profession that is noble, but has been damaged. The Regent will prepare you to do that. So you've seen it. I don't know what the undergrad's like. You guys do. Melissa does. But I know the law school is an incredible place where you can be trained to do all that God has for you.
Amen. For Regina and Melissa, guys, individually, and let's take turns here, but share with us a little bit about what separates Regent University School of Law from the rest of the competition, and why did you choose Regent Law?
Well, I really didn't apply to that many places, but I was called to Regent because it is a Christian school, so I just wanted to see, where my life was headed, and, me being here, it's really been a blessing to my life, to say the least. But what I like most about coming here is, like Dean Walton said, the faculty is great. They have an open door policy, so whenever you need help, you can always just walk in. Sometimes you don't even have to make an appointment. You can just walk in and say, I need help with this subject, this topic, can you help me? And, they're more than willing to help you. They can pray with you. And just other students, pray with you as well whenever you're down. And some people just see you and, see it looks like you're struggling. And so, they'll come and, pour into you, they'll pray for you. And I think in comparison to other schools, we're not as cutthroat as other universities are. Like I've heard stories about people fighting over books in the library, and it's, it's not like that here. We share stuff, we share our stories, we share our ups and our downs, and I think that's what, separates us from other schools. And so it's always uplifting, like I said, prayer, helps keep the spirits high here, and, we're all struggling at some point. It's not easy, but I think the community just helps it, get a little bit better.
Yeah, so I attended Regent for my undergrad, and going through that process, even before then, I was aware of Regent Law. And I think the biggest thing about the school, the fact that we're just such a big family, and it's not cutthroat, and we really support each other with that family dynamic. And speaking to the faculty, I know that they are, anytime their office is open, you reach out and they're there for you, and they're willing to help you. And even if you just have to sit down and vent to them, they're there for you. And it's just really fun because the library, we're there a lot, but we enjoy being there. And being able to pursue this and thinking back to undergrad, something that I love about Regent was their law is more than a profession, it's a calling. And I just feel that the Lord is calling all of us, all of you, to this. And he'll equip you and he'll provide along the way. And I think looking at the faculty and our new teams, it provides fantastic opportunities and networking. And I just love it so much so far, and I highly recommend it. And it was actually the only law school I applied to, so talk about putting all your eggs in one basket.
That's awesome. That's right. That's awesome. Guys, so we've talked a little bit about why Regent Law, but let's take a moment and talk about why we're here. So who wants to share with us, why are you here today? What's your reason for attending this event today? Let's talk about it. I don't have a problem volunteering anyone to participate, so feel free. But let's talk a little bit about that. Why are you here today? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Kelly Fetterman. I'm a senior. I'll be graduating in May from Regent Undergrads. I've been studying government. Originally, I wanted to do politics, but recently, in the last 2 years, I participated in undergrad food court, served on the board, and that kind of made me realize that I just had a calling for understanding how the law works and reading and interpreting cases. So with that, I've just been really drawn to being a prosecutor, serving within the government, maintaining that goal of being involved in the government. So I want to obtain my Juris Doctorate degree and then go into prosecuting work, and eventually down the line, I actually want to be a judge. So.
Fantastic, Kelly. Thank you for sharing. Who else? Why are you here today? What's your why? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Angel Adele. I came to Regent to go to Regent Law School. So I just went through the Regent undergrad. I graduated May 12th. And so putting all my eggs in one basket.
That's awesome, Angel. Thank you for sharing. Who else? Why are you here today? Yes, sir.
So it's kind of last minute thinking tonight, Tyler.
It's okay. Come as you are.
Glad you're here.
But I came here because I didn't want to miss out on any advice that I'm planning to go to law school. I didn't want to go to law school, but man, I wish I'd done that. Wish I'd gone to that panel and heard about that advice. And also, I've heard things about Regent Law School that I want to verify.
Okay. That's good. That takes me to a good point. Your name?
Colton.
Colton. Thank you for coming, Colton. Guys, that takes me to kind of the true reason why we're here. I'm excited because being in this role, I've had the opportunity to learn a tremendous amount from Dean Walton, but to also be able to explore ways that we can serve our undergraduate students even better. And so one of the reasons why we created this event is because we're starting a process of having our undergraduate advising team that's going to be working with our undergraduate student population. We're going to start reaching out, guys, and we're going to find ways for those of you that are interested in law school that we can help you from your freshman year through your senior year prepare, right, study, learn, and understand what it takes to get ready to apply to law school, study and prepare for the LSAT examination, and making sure that you have the most robust application file possible. So when you submit it to the admissions committee here at Regent Law, that we can also make sure that we can earn a favorable decision for you. So I'm excited about this opportunity that we have, and I kind of want to segue and take this to Micah. So Micah, if you could, share with us a little bit about your role in being able to help our undergraduate student population that's looking to prepare for law school.
Well, I know a couple of you. I'm saying to a few of you who have come by to see me, but like you said, I work with undergraduate students, and what I mainly do is a big chunk of what I do is degree planning. So like you said, we're mapping out each semester, each year, from freshman year to senior year, just to see which classes you need to take when they're offered, if you need resources to keep your GPA up, whether it's math tutoring or connecting you with the writing center, we can definitely plug you in with those folks. We definitely want to keep you on the right track to prepare for LSAT and get ready to take that exam. So all throughout your time here on the undergraduate side, we definitely want to tell you what you can be doing for semester. So just by show of hands, how many seniors do we have? Juniors? Sophomores? Any freshmen? Yay, so my freshmen and my sophomores, right now, we really want to focus on keeping that GPA up. So when you go to apply to law school, they're really looking for at least like a 3.55-ish. So we definitely want to focus on that at that stage. In the sophomore year, you're starting to make more relationships with your professors. That's when you can start trying to determine who you can go to for like letters of recommendation when it's time to do that. For my juniors, at this point, we want to go ahead and get registered on the LSAT website. We want to start doing LSAT prep. There are apps that you can download to get ready for that. We have the Khan Academy. There are a ton of free resources out there, and you can definitely come and talk to any of us, and we can help you with finding those. And then our seniors, we definitely want to be now, preparing to take the LSAT. Really, after your junior year that summer, you need to be taking it maybe for the first time, so that way you can say, okay, either I hit the mark, got maybe a 150, 155, I hit the mark, or I need to go back and retake it. So, like I said, at each point, no matter what year you are, there's something that you can be doing to prepare for law school admissions. It doesn't have to be something that's so far ahead. And if you're just starting to think about it and you're in your junior year, come and see me. We can talk through what you need to do to prepare. It's not too late. We still want to have those conversations to make sure you're as prepared as possible to put that application in there.
Fantastic. Micah, thank you for sharing. Minnie, what advice would you have from an admissions perspective? What advice would you have for students that are looking to prepare to apply to law school?
So to piggyback off of Micah a little bit, from an admissions standpoint, we are looking for a 3.55 GPA and a 155 for an LSAT score. That's how we get here at Regent Law. So pretty much focusing on those two factors. They are very important when you're looking at law school, especially the LSAT. Making sure that you are making connections at an early stage in reference to your letters of recommendation, your personal statements, all of those things play into the application process here at Regent.
Fantastic. Guys, we talked a little bit about the word LSAT, right? Everybody's heard that a couple times, so let's kind of dive in a little bit there. Dean Walton, if you could, share with us the importance of the LSAT and why is it so crucial to the application process, but also gauging the student's success in law school.
Yeah. There's a ton of data over many, many years when you take only one factor alone, right? What's the most predictive factor of success in law school? You can only look at one, and it's the LSAT. How you do on the LSAT is the best predictor of success in your first year of law school and passing the bar exam. Of course, when you add in other factors like your GPA, we get more predictive, right? But if you've got one, and so that's a same, majors are different, schools are different. Some schools are real hard, some schools are easier. Some majors are much easier than certain majors, right? So there's a lot of variables in GPA, but the LSAT's the LSAT. Everyone's taking the same test. And it's a skills-based test. You are tested not on your knowledge. You don't have to just go study like you did for the SATs or the GREs and learn things. You need to have skills. Think about what lawyers do, right? Critical thinking skills. The ability to critically think and reason and make logical connections, pick apart arguments, read and digest and think quickly on your feet. It's a very time-intensive test, right? Lawyers have to be able to think with their feet. That's the reality. The bar exam, very time-pressed. So you have to be able to think and think very quickly because that's what lawyers have to be able to do. So, why is it important? It's important because it's testing the skills that are necessary to succeed in law school, on the bar exam, and then to ultimately be a lawyer, right? So when you have one factor alone, that's why law schools so heavily look at that. We certainly look at more than the LSAT. Absolutely, right? In the admissions committee, we are discussing, debating files, and trying to figure out who can succeed in law school. But that piece right there is a huge portion of trying to figure out when you have so many different applicants, it's the same, it's uniform across everybody. So it's absolutely crucial that you put your time in, you prepare and study, because you can learn little tricks of the trade. We can talk more about this. Maybe I'm getting ahead of where we cover.
It's all right.
But it's absolutely crucial for those reasons, and crucial for scholarship purposes too. And I'll stop there. I don't know exactly what else we're going to cover later, but I'll just foreshadow.
Awesome. For Regina and Melissa, guys, share with us a little bit about your experience taking the LSAT preparing for the LSAT. How did you navigate through that process?
Yeah, so, little disclaimer, everybody's method of studying is going to be different. So what we say is you have to learn and take that initial test and see what works best for you and your learning style. So, but for me, I found out very quickly that self-study is not the best way. Because, being able to find areas with the weaker areas and learn and figure out how can I improve. For me, what was the trick was using a tutor. And there are fantastic opportunities through Kaplan. Kaplan is one of them, but Khan Academy, that's a free resource that the LSAC just released within last year. But, and honestly, I can't stress enough practice tests. Going through drilling them, they seem tedious, but drilling through those and, like I said, finding those weak areas and the strong points that you can, work on highlighting, that's huge. And working on your time as well, being able to think quickly, I have 4 reading compounds, which is where can I find them, but be able to distill the most information, or even look at the law mechanisms, where can I look at those and get through it quickly, because it's really just a matter of time, but also how well you do it, and that comes through the practice. And yeah, I think, unlocking that for me was the tutoring, and just working through that. So I would see, what was best for you and take a diagnostic.
Yeah, so I took mine 2 years ago, so it's pretty far back. So I'm trying to remember. I remember using Kaplan as a resource, and that was only because my boss paid for it. I was like, bless your heart. I was like, I know I need a prep. I just, it's kind of expensive, but if you're looking for something to really help you pass that test, those resources are good. And there are free resources. I would definitely suggest using those. But you have to, first figure out when you want to take the LSAT, and that'll be when you decide, what kinds of resources you want to use to help. So if you take it, I think February, June, or something like that, whatever resources you use, they'll have a plan. So Kaplan had a plan where you can do it online, so you can do a little bit every day, and then they teach you. It's almost like a class. I did mine online. Some people can do it in person, and like she said, you have to do what's best for you. So if you feel like you learn better in a setting like this, then you would do it in person. But online just works best for me. And you sit and go through the modules and see where your weaknesses are, and so you can work on those areas and take practice tests and see, what you need to study more, what you need to work on. I absolutely hated logic games. Still don't like them. I don't know how I passed that part, but that's why I break that. So yeah, definitely using resources, see what works best for you, and keep practicing at it, because it's not going to be easy the first time. You have to select where you need to work on.
Let me encourage everyone too, guys. One of our commitments to our undergraduate population and anyone that's interested in Regent Law is to develop a robust LSAT test prep program, right? And so our goal is by the 2019-2020 academic year that we're really going to have a robust program in place that will help you be prepared for this exam. Dean Walton kind of foreshadowed to it a little bit as well. There's some financial gain, right, that's beneficial to you as a student to ensure that you're successful on the LSAT examination. So please consider that even if it may be a paid study option, it's a small investment to make on the front end that will absolutely benefit you financially on the back end. Dean Walton, if you do want to kind of jump into that a little bit as we talk about financial aid or scholarship opportunities as it pertains to LSAT scores and how competitive the environment is.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to beat around the bush, right? The reality is, yes, the LSAT is a predictor of law school success, which is the primary reason it matters. But secondly, law schools are primarily judged by their LSAT. When you look at another school, the first thing you often look at is what's their median LSAT, right? The idea of the median, the middle number. That's the number that you look at often to say, can I get in there? How good is the school? There's other factors, right? Employment, bar passage, prestige, lots of other factors. That's probably the number one factor. And that's a big part of the ranking system. What's your median LSAT? And so law schools incentivize astronomically sometimes how well you do in the LSAT. So you want to know, wherever you're looking to apply, you better be looking at Regent Law. what is the median, right? Our current median is 154. We've set a goal of 155, right? So you need to be at or above that median. Because all of a sudden, instead of pulling, I have limited spots. I've got 100 students. I've only got 50 who can be below that number. I can have as many people as possible above that number and raise my median. And when you raise my median, LSAT, my job is to have a certain median, right? That's part of my job. I better produce that class or I'll get in trouble. And so I incentivize those, right, who can hit or exceed that median significantly, scholarship-wise. And literally, your $1,000 that you might pay for a prep course, and the odds are if you do a formal prep course, you will do better, right? It's just the reality. Not always. Some people can self-study. Don't recommend it. Pay that $1,000, $1,500. That money, talk about return on investment. We've got our Business Law Society guys here. ROI, right? We should talk to all of them. SBA reps, please talk to our students. You put that $1,500 in to take a prep course, and that might mean getting a 152 score and get you into Regent, right? Solid job. But you're below the median, and you can get 5 more points because you took a prep course, and now you're at a 157 above the median. That could be 10, 20, $30,000 scholarship a year perhaps, times 3 years, you're saving interest, you do the math, right? It's significant, it can be significant. I'm not making promises here, foreshadowing what your scholarship's going to be. But if you can get above the median, whether it's at Regent Law or another school, the scholarship opportunities open up. Instead of, all right, we let you in, we think you can succeed, but you're below the median. And we give scholarships for other things besides LSAT. You should know that, right? We incentivize GPA as well, other factors too. But that's the bulk of the money. And so study. Put your time in. Don't think, oh, I'm just going to show up and take it. No, that is foolish. We see all your scores. It's not like most other tests. You cannot cancel your score after you see it. Once you take it and you see it, we get it. And you don't want a score that's unprepared going to the admissions committee. It matters. The high score is really what matters for your scholarship. But getting in, we will see everything. So go in, put your time in, prep, and study. It's worth it to get in, and then worth it for your financial benefit on the back end as well.
Minnie, what are some helpful hints about the LSAT that may not be commonly known that we want to make sure that we advise every student of as they're taking that, preparing for, or just understanding how it can impact their application?
So the LSAT, a lot of people do not realize this, but it is actually a learnable test. It does not require you to have any prior knowledge of the legal field or anything like that, unlike the MCAT and the GMAT. So you are able to go in and not know anything about law. It's going to test your reading comprehension, your analytical thinking, your logical reasoning. Those 3 main things is what you need to focus on when going into the LSAT. It is a 5-section test, 35 minutes apiece. Only 4 of those sections are graded. The other thing about it, it's different from the SAT. So with the SAT, you can take it as many times as possible, and they're only going to take your highest score. The LSAT is not like that. We see an average of all of your scores, and they are taken into consideration when we're looking at your application. So I would not suggest to go into the test and not study the first time. You need to go into the test with the mind frame that you are going to take it one time and you are going to do your very best, and that's going to be the last time that you're going to take it. The other part to that as well that is about to change. So Dean Walton talked about it just a minute ago with your actual score. So the test is about to go digital, which has never happened before, and it is scaring a lot of people. Do not get scared. I honestly think it's actually a better format than what it was before. You're going to have a lot more options available to you while you're taking the test in regards to highlighting, marking your section where you are, being able to go back very easily. They're going to have easy, ready-to-use tablets. This is actually going to take place in July. If we have any rising juniors, I would suggest that you do not take the test in June and take it in July. And the reason being is because being that this is the first test that they are, bringing out for kind of like a test run with the individuals and aspiring law students, they are giving you the option to see your score, and you have 5 days to say if you want to cancel it or not. This is the only time that it's ever happened, and that is the only date that you will ever get that option. To be able to see it and cancel it if you don't like it. Before, you actually could not see it, but you could cancel it if you didn't feel right about the day that you took the test, if there was a lot of distractions, you didn't like the proctor, anything like that. And then on top of that, if you do decide to cancel it, you are actually given the option to take it again within the next year for free. So it's kind of a 2-for-1, and this is only for the July test date.
Guys, I would make a note of that.
Do it.
Yes.
I would highly encourage,
Yes.
right? I can't incentivize in that area, but I can highly encourage everyone to please make note of that. If you haven't started studying, I would study now and prepare and attempt the LSAT in July. This is going to be the one opportunity that you're offered flexibility with that score, and you can see it. So if you take it and you happen to score a 156, you stay right there.
Stay there.
Right? But if you take this July exam and man, I got a 143, you can cancel that score, and as Minnie mentioned earlier, it will not count against your average. This is an amazing opportunity. So like I said, I would highly encourage, please make a note of that. You can visit the LSAC website, or you can reach out to myself or the admissions team, and we can give you the specific date. Regent University will be a test site for the July date. So if you're interested in taking the LSAT on campus, it will be available to you. We'll make sure that more information on that is going to be communicated. But please, guys, that would be something that I would advise as well.
And just to add to that, don't want anybody to have any surprises. You will not know what test you're going to get going into the July test date. So they are actually splitting it in half to kind of get data back from it, but you may be taking the old test where it's written, or you may take the new digital one, but you will not know that until you get to your test site that morning.
Fantastic. Lastly, guys, I want to talk about the first year experience of law school and what is that like. So we'll open this up. Melissa, if you could share, what is it like for a first year law student?
Yeah, so it has been the craziest in the best sense of the word, and most rewarding here. It's it's the amount of, I don't know, stuff, but the amount of law that you learn just in your first year. Coming in, I thought I had a clue, I didn't, but they are so gracious, and it's just been fantastic, just raising us up under them and all of that. But yeah, no, it's been great. There's, like I said earlier, such a family dynamic, and we're all there for each other. And something that I've had to do with that family dynamic, though, it's important to prioritize your time. I have to remind myself, sometimes, I came here to study law and to be a lawyer and to what God's called me to do. And while the community aspect of that is very important, and it helps foster that, you also, remember that friends, sometimes I have to wait for the weekend, or, I have to sacrifice some things. So just prioritize your time. And that's not to stress anything, but it's best to be organized with that. And also to find rest. Speaking of that priority, sometimes we have a tendency of wanting to go all in and, just only drink coffee and no water, and just, stay up until 3. But yeah, and I think also with that is just not letting go of your faith and just remembering, in those sometimes challenging times and even in the great times when you have, the best news throughout the semester, whatever it may be, that the Lord is there and He's providing along the way. And I think that, one of my favorite things is that at the start of each class, of course, in Regent, we have devotions. I think just setting aside that time is really important. Just saying, hey, Lord, I'm giving this day to you, I'm giving this class to you. And obedience in the small things I've come to learn has made all the difference.
Regina, share with us your first year experience.
Yeah, basically to piggyback on what she said, time management is key. I mean, you have to kind of do what's best for you, and I say, stay true to yourself. I think is super important because you'll find in law school people are doing different things, and you don't want to say, okay, well, this person is the highest in my class. Let me do what they're doing, and then you start to doubt yourself and doubt your own abilities. And I just feel like if you stay true to yourself and do what you know is best for you, then you will succeed. And if you lean on the Lord all the time, you'll do well. I'm in my second year, as he said before, and I wouldn't say that it gets easier because it is hard, and I don't want to sugarcoat that. start going through the process and reading cases and analyzing cases, you find, okay, I know this is what the professor is looking for, so your eye is trained when you're looking at cases to say, okay, now I get that. Now I see the rule. I see it more vividly. And see, I was a part-time student. I still am. I'm going full-time, so my 1L year wasn't as packed as, Melissa's. They were taking, 6 classes at a time? Only took like 3. So I didn't get that, full load in. But I understand the importance of time management. I worked my first year. I work at a law firm now, and I toggle my time between being a student and working, just so I can keep my experience up. But it's time management, prayer, rest is super important. I'm always here for taking a nap. When you get into property and your mind just starts to just go all off. And sometimes I think you need that time too, because you're not going to be able to retain the information if you just push through and just, knock yourself out with it. It's like, okay, I know when I need a break. And when I need a break, I'll take a nap, I'll come back to it. And I think that helps you in the end, is just to, refocus sometimes. So I think that's
Dean Walton, from a faculty perspective, can you share expectations for the first year law student?
Yeah. The reality is you need to be ready to work harder than you've ever worked in your life. And that's just the reality. The quantity of time, not just the intensity of being able to work. But is that accurate? All of you back there?
No.
Yeah, more than one else. Not to make anything wrong. But so that you will have not just quantity, hours. You'll sit and it's really probably true. What you'll be told in orientation is every hour of class you spend 2 to 3 hours. They say 3, but every hour, about 2 to 3 hours of prep time for that class, reading the cases, understanding them. And it's so dense, right? It's a different type of reading, critical thinking, and so it's quantity, but it's draining mentally because it's hard. You got to go back over and read until your mind begins to get trained. And you will get trained after that first year. You'll be transformed. I promise you. To think differently. It's amazing what Regent Law will do to you that first year in a great way. But it's a process, and it takes a lot of effort on your time and focused, intentional effort. We expect you to be working. You can add that up. 3 hours, if you've got about 15 credits, then in class time, 15 hours, then times 3 hours for each credit. That's 45 hours plus the in-time class. That's 60 hours. I probably worked easily 70 plus hours my first year of law school. I didn't study on Sunday at all. That was my conviction. For the rest of the days, Friday night, it's just another night of work all night. Saturday, working most of the day. That's what the Lord called me to do, and it works, right? But you got to put time in. You can't. It doesn't matter how smart you are in law school. It does, but you also have to put time in. You can't just skate by on your brilliance. Maybe there's a rare exception, but you've got to put the time in. And so that's what we expect, is that you're coming to class prepared, digesting the material over and over again, and then you're after class outlining the material, distilling it in a logical format of what the rules are, and then practicing the problems. So most of the time you have one test in law school. That's your grade. We've instituted midterms, which is a good development, but you have a small midterm, maybe 10, 20% of your grade, and the bulk of your grade is you better know everything from the whole semester on one test. You can't procrastinate. You can't. You can, you just won't do well. So you have to be disciplined to be studying the whole semester. Memorizing the law is half the battle, but then can you apply it in new fact? And you have to practice. You have to practice problems, essays, multiple choice to master the material. So it's fundamentally different than undergrad. It just is, and fundamentally different from most master's programs. People don't realize that until you come. So, again, other students, am I saying something wrong? No. Anything to add? I mean, you guys are here. I want you to chime in with additional thoughts. Go ahead, Devin.
Can I retake the LSAT too? I'll take the points. All right, we'll talk.
Wes?
Yeah, I would say, although it sounds like intimidating time-wise, it ends up being such a benefit. I mean, I'll go back and be around my friends maybe before law school, and you can see the contrast of just, I don't want to say intelligence, but like you just think at a higher level, and it's very useful. It's very rewarding too. I think one thing with the time management that they're talking about is you then start going, how do I actually maximize my free time where you don't just, if you get there before you've thought about it, you're kind of just wasting it. So it's fulfilling to, look at your week and go, wow, I did this much. I'm actually noticing myself getting wiser, getting smarter, getting quicker. And I would say with the reading, one thing I was worried about was quantity. I would say this is more quality reading, so you're not going to be reading hundreds of pages a night. Like I did history classes that were tons of reading. This is more about when you read being like in that like on very focused mode, no distraction. So if you're worried about maybe the quantity, that's not as big as a factor as like you need to read with just laser focus and understanding. So that was my biggest fear of law school is can I do the reading, and it's not a ton. It's just important to stay focused. So it's a good experience though. It's awesome.
That's good. Good. Guys, I want to open it up. Any questions that we haven't answered? Any concerns? Any thoughts? Yes, sir.
So Minnie, you mentioned how rising juniors should consider the July
Yes.
test date. So do you recommend that at the end of junior year, undergrads take LSATs?
Yes, in July.
Yes.
If you're ready.
If you're ready. If
Okay.
you've studied and if you're ready.
So how far in advance do law schools accept students?
Our application, you don't need to take it in July. The ideal situation is that you would take it in the summer your first time and you'd still have time to take it again if you need to. Often students do better the second time, and you should know that. We in the admissions committee call it the standard 3-point bump. You typically do better, not every time, but you'll typically do better. You don't want to go in unprepared, but you want to have plenty of time to be able to take the test at least twice and then be done early in the admissions cycle. We accept all the way up through June, right? So we'll be taking June LSAT takers for fall 2019. But the reality is there's more seats open, there's more scholarship money potentially available as well, the earlier you are. And some schools, their classes will close in April. And so you want to be in early if you're looking at other schools. I can't believe I'm saying that, but if you're looking at other schools besides Regent, and from an advising perspective, we do want to serve you wherever God's calling you to go. It's probably Regent. But so that's why, ideally, you have taken in July. Maybe you do well, but not as good as you can. Take it again in September, October, and then you're still in with a complete application as early as you can be.
And to kind of add to that, Cohen, with this July coming up, and this is for anybody in the room, including freshmen, your scores stand for 5 years. So being that you, in a sense, get a freebie this July, if you're interested in taking it and feel confident that, you have the ability to do well, do that. Because, within the next 5 years, you'll be looking to matriculate into law school. So, just a little piece of advice.
I think the class is key, as they were saying. If you get a class, say, for $1,500, and you get a scholarship here, as many students do, based on that, you could 50x your investment.
Sure.
Like, really, it's a really good investment. It's amazing.
We were all just saying, you did take a class, but Wes and I were both just saying that we wish we could take a class. So.
I didn't take a class. I think I would have gotten a way higher LSAT because it's the accountability, self-study. You can only push yourself so hard.
Yes, sir.
So, just to piggyback off what Ryan said, if you can afford to take a class, absolutely do it. However, I was more like Wes and Devin here, where I didn't have $1,500 to spend on a class, so I went to Barnes & Noble and I bought a principal book, and I just studied it, timed myself, and did it over and over again. Because as the admissions counselor was saying, you can teach yourself this stuff. The logic games, you can learn that. It just takes practice. They're not the most fun, but if you just do them, just the repetition, you start to see patterns that you hadn't noticed before. But if you don't have the $1,500, don't despair. It's not like you can't do it. I got a decent LSAT score studying on my own, but if you can afford to spend that $1,500, absolutely do it. And I don't know if they still do, but Princeton Review would let you walk in and take a practice test and kind of give you a kind of gauge where what sections you needed to work on or needed to focus on, and what sections you actually were okay with.
Another question. Yes, ma'am.
Is the July testing opportunity only available in the United States, or are there other countries that are participating in that?
I would have to check that for you. I believe so. I don't believe it's opening up anywhere else until after the admissions official July test date, but I would have to confirm that. So, yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Do you recommend any websites for practicing for LSAT?
To be honest with you, I think it just depends on you. Like the young lady in the back, she said the Princeton Review. I know the Khan Academy. Personally, myself, I tried to study with the Princeton Review and with Khan, and it seemed very confusing for me. So I went the PowerScore way. PowerScore is another company that offers study materials for the LSAT. So it really just depends on you and the way that you learn. Because like I stated, it's a learnable test. It really is. The main component, though, of the LSAT is that it's time, 35-minute sections. And the other piece to add to that, too, when you're taking the test and you're getting down to your 35-minute mark, just bubble answers in. You are only judged by the answers that you get correct. And who knows, you can see it all the way down and, see maybe the right answer for some of them. You do not get penalized for wrong answers on the LSAT.
And just to add to that, when I worked with my tutor, and I could be remembering this website incorrectly and using German's course, but it's LSAT Hacks, if I remember that correctly. And basically, he had every test. So if those who might do some study, had every test and just walked through each section, explained what the right answer was, and had videos for the game so you can just walk through and say, okay, can't interact with them, of course, but it helps you beyond your own just reading it.
Yeah, also wanted to add, I still have my capital materials. It's not a link to the actual site where you can do the classroom study, but if anyone wants it, I have it. I'm willing to just give it to someone. It may have a lot of highlighting and bowling, but if you want to use it just to help, start off and see kind of how it's like, I'm more than happy to just give it to someone. So.
Any other questions, guys? Yes, ma'am.
What's the difference between a JD and a master's in law, according to the little part that was given?
The MA in law, the Bachelor of Arts in Law. So that's the graduate program. So the JD is the degree that you're going to need if you're looking to practice law.
Okay.
Now, the graduate program is an online 30-credit-hour program. We can talk about that a little bit more in depth. If you're looking for more in-depth knowledge of law, if you're looking maybe to teach things of that nature, that may be a good fit program as well. But if you are looking to draft contracts, practice law, represent clientele, you'll need to go the JD route. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
How long? You said 30 hours, so it's just a year?
Year, 12 to 18 months is what that program is designed to be completed as well. Yeah, we can absolutely talk about that. If that's what you're interested in, please feel free to mark that.
Still praying about it.
Okay, absolutely. Yes, sir.
So I work about 3 or 4 days a week. Is that really practical during law school? Or just a lot of management? So.
You can't even work there at first year.
Is that a current student answer?
Part-time.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
can only work 10 hours.
So I'm a part-time, I started out as a part-time student, and I worked full-time. And if you are able to not do that, I would 110% recommend not working. In fact, I worked my first year, I worked a full-time job, went to classes part-time, took 4 classes, and I was exhausted all the time. There was never enough, you could have given me 30 hours in a day and it still wouldn't have been enough time. And this semester, I resigned from my position, and this year I have not had to work. But I also have a husband, family, kids. And I don't work, I work part-time as a Lexus rep here on campus a few hours a week, and that's doable. But if you do not have to work, which I realize is not always an option for everyone, but if you don't do it. I don't think anybody can prepare you for the amount of time that it's gonna take you to read 10 pages. It's insane. I mean, you get your reading list and you're like, okay, I can read these 20 pages, no big deal. 2 hours later, I'm still reading those 20 pages. Just the time commitment it takes it's a lot. And if you can avoid working, I would definitely say don't work.
I wanted to add to that because me and Sandy were both part-time, but I worked 20 hours. I still do. I work 20 hours and I go to school part-time. It's doable. Like I said, time management is super important. So if you feel so inclined to still stay at your job and that's what you want to do, and you want to do school, part-time, you want to do that on the side and just finish in your own time, then you can do that. But it does require a lot of time management. schedule. I had to plan my semester out way in advance so I know that I have the time to actually do it and say I'm going to work. I work on Saturdays. Law firms aren't even open on Saturdays, but I have to go in and do the work on Saturdays when they're not open so it works with my schedule. So if it's what you want to do, you can make it work. But I want to finish school faster now, so I'm going to resign my position this semester and go full-time so I can finish 3.5
But if
years.
you're a full-time student, you are not allowed to work more than 20
It's like
hours
10
a
hours
week.
or something, yeah.
Yeah, so you are not
It's not
allowed
much.
to work full-time if you are a full-time student.
And I'll add my first semester didn't work. The second semester, after carefully considering it, I am working a 4-hour GA position that, you know, it is doable and probably similar to the rep position. But, you know, being able to say, okay, well, some days like I might have to change my schedule and like accommodate this. So just being able to have that flexibility, it is doable. But once again, goes back to the point of prioritizing your time.
Any other questions, guys? Anybody else? Yes, sir.
What is the logistical difference as far as workload goes with the normal pace and the 2-year accelerated pace?
We no longer have a 2-year accelerated program, so we need to throw those cards out. We have an accelerated program whereby you can graduate in 2.5 years. There's no longer though a 2-year program. The 2.5-year, effectively, you graduate in December and sit for the bar in February instead of graduating in May and sitting for the bar in July. So you graduate a semester early. The difference is you'll take summer classes. There's no extra work during the semesters. Maybe you would take an extra credit, but that's about it. Then the summer, you would take, and we offer credits where you can do internships and convert them to an externship. It just means you're working at a law firm but getting credit for it. So you can get credits that way, and then we offer a few summer classes each summer. And then that way you can get up to another 15 credits through those 2 summers and be out of here a semester.
All right. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
I was to do my JD, and I wanted to stay or work at a missions-based organization. What area of law would be the best?
So what, this is good question. First and foremost, people think like undergrad, I had no idea. No one in my family went to law school. I didn't want to go to law school. I wanted to be a missionary. The Lord kept telling me to go, and I kept saying no. But I finally went, and of course loved it because God knows best. But you don't need to major or pick an area of law. You need to come to law school and get trained to be a lawyer, to think, to write, to get the general knowledge of what it looks like to be a lawyer. Now, of course, we've got specialties in the sense of you get to take electives. You might take nonprofit law, right? You might take international law if you're working with overseas, so you understand how the international legal system works. You'll take some electives that will help you specialize and do internships. We can place you with YWAM. They're a missions organization, nonprofit. We send students to Hawaii every summer to work with them to get experience working as a lawyer for a missions organization. For Campus Crusade for Christ, we send students to work with their general counsel office like Devin is going this summer. And so you learn the law and learn the skills to be a lawyer, and then through internships, electives, you get your specialty. But really, law school is about general skills, passing the bar exam, and then any area of law that comes up, you might not know it, but you know how to figure it out. Your client walks in the door, it might be scary. He asks you, you've never touched this area of law, but you can figure out, I know that that's area. I can go look at the law, read the cases, read the statutes, figure it out, give them the answer. Does that make sense?
Yes.
To D. Walton's point as well, if anyone is interested in that opportunity, but you can't make the trip to Hawaii, I personally am willing to sacrifice my time to take the trip for you to Hawaii. We'll exchange contact information and I'll go for you. Can't guarantee I'll do the work, but I can enjoy at least the trip to Hawaii. So, any other questions, guys, at all? Yes, ma'am.
So those of us who are applying at the June deadline, when do we expect the decision back?
It's normally a 2-week turnaround, but a lot of times it's a lot sooner than that. Yeah, as long as we get your information in, it's a completed packet, we can get you information hopefully within about a week if that.
The test, or what are you saying?
The deadline for like everything, all the materials to be in for your application.
July 31st is when the enrollment for our fall 2019 semester closes.
But don't wait till then.
Yes, please don't.
So essentially, what are you all looking for in your prospective students for law school?
somebody who's committed to the mission of the school and who has proven academic capability to succeed in law school and pass the bar exam. So yeah, it's twofold, right? The mission fit and academic qualities and academic capacity. I mean, we're very serious in the admissions committee that we don't want to admit people that we don't believe are capable of succeeding in law school. It's not to knock you, it's not to be mean, we just don't think that's right. Now, we could be wrong, maybe you could succeed, but we have to go off the data that we know and we have. And so through your GPA, your LSAT, your letters of recommendation, we've got to make a call. Can you succeed in law school, or are we going to be taking your money and you're going to flunk out, or you're going to fail the bar? That's the call we have to make, and we believe it's a moral obligation that we seriously evaluate that call and not admit people that haven't demonstrated through all the research we have they can succeed. And so that's why academics are so serious, especially at Regent. We are very serious about not admitting people and taking your money if we don't think you can do it. I'm being harsh, but I want to be blunt too, that as you prepare. So doing well in undergrad and proving you can succeed in school, I mean, these things matter significantly. So, but yeah, the mission fit, whatever you're called to do, we want to know it, but the mission fit, that you love the Lord, coming to Regent for the right reasons, and academic excellence.
All right, guys, we're gonna come to a close here, but I do have our student organizations that are represented here. I would encourage everyone to please make sure you take time and speak with our student organizations if you're I know there may be some questions about where to concentrate or areas of expertise or focus or interests that you may have. This may be a great opportunity for you to catch up with them, ask all of those crucial questions that you have, and give them an opportunity to share their experience and their knowledge with you. So please take this time to connect with them, ask as many questions as you have. If you didn't get to ask your question to the panel, please feel free to come on up and grab a seat and ask them more questions as you like. But thank you all for attending. We appreciate everyone being here today.